Saturday night for your streaming forecast here. I'm Tampa Bay meteorologist Colleen Campbell, and we're just going to touch on our weather impact alerts. Yes, the one for today is ending right now at 8 p.m., but we have another one that's scheduled for tomorrow, and that's because we have another round of rain on the way. So the rainfall estimates from today, pretty impressive, close to what we had yesterday. Yesterday we had around 3 to 5 inches. Some areas had a little bit less than that. Some areas had a little bit more. Today, this is just the 12-hour radar estimated rainfall totals. We've had anywhere, I would say 2 to 5 is a good range. Notice Hernando County had about 6 inches of rain, and we still have a little bit of rain still out there, so these numbers could go up just a bit. And again, just like yesterday, some areas received less than that, way less. You see plenty of gray area there on the map where some areas really just got traceable amounts, while others just got walloped with that rain. So this is going to be the trend as we kind of finish off the weekends. Tomorrow, the timing will be a little bit different, and that's just because we have this tropical wave that's moving over our area and basically fueling all of that moisture. So let's go into satellite and radar. This is over the past 3 hours. You can see things are really starting to dry up, although we do still have that light kind of misty, drizzly nuisance rain, as we like to say. It's no longer really those heavy downpours. Now the downpours have been slow moving as well, and we did have a few flood advisories that were issued earlier this evening. The latest flood advisory for Citrus County was allowed to expire on time. That was around 7:45, and we haven't had one since then, and we likely won't have one again. Yesterday, we had a flood warning for Hillsborough County, northern Hillsborough County. And that's just because, again, we had so much rain. So the ground is definitely saturated, and we are looking for more of the same as we move into Sunday. And that's why we have another weather impact alert scheduled starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. But things are drying out nicely, expanding the picture here. Again, this is all due to a tropical wave. Really, we have a trough, which is just an elongated area of weaker low pressure that's trying to form over our area. And that's that black dotted line that you see on your screen there. We also had a stalled out frontal boundary that's finally starting to dissipate, but that was draped over our area to the north for days, and now that is starting to dissipate. So yeah, that's the current situation. Let's go into the Futurecast so you can see what we're working with for tonight. This is midnight. So you see, by midnight, we're fairly dry. Now, we will still have plenty of humidity out there and a couple clouds as a result of that. But overall, overnight, there's not much to worry about. Maybe a few spits and sprinkles, but pretty much it. Here we are, 8 a.m. tomorrow. And again, tomorrow morning, starting off dry at least around sunrise to about 8 a.m. So if you're an early bird and you want to get out, you will have a few drier hours out there, even though it will still be humid. And then the rain will start up closer to about 10 a.m., 9:30, 10 a.m. And that's why we did move that weather impact alert up, just because, again, the ground is just filled with water already because we've had consecutive days of this heavy rainfall. And the timing is a little bit different. And the reasoning for that is because we are expecting that weak area low pressure to be spinning just off the coast here. Notice how the winds, let me see if I can get my drawing tool here. Notice the winds are a little bit different depending where you look. So if you look to the southwest, closer to Sarasota, that's where the winds are coming in from for tomorrow, 1 p.m. But then if you look in places like Lakeland, you have more of a southerly wind. And then moving up towards Crystal River, that area, we have more of an easterly wind. So really we have this area of low pressure, although it may be weak, that is spinning just off the coast, and it's kind of going like this. So that's how it's pushing the moisture into our area for tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. And you'll see how the winds change as that low just really meanders off in the Gulf there, just off our west coast. So here we are around 3:30, and that's when things really start to get going. So our weather impact alerts the last 2 days, we've had them starting at 2 p.m. because that's when we've seen most of the rain, in the afternoon and the evening. But again, can't rule out the possibility of a slow moving downpour to start your day around 9:30, 10 o'clock tomorrow. And that's why we kind of bumped up that timing, just so we can give you guys a heads up whether you're going to church, walking the dog, going to exercise class, going for a run. You want to make sure you're not dodging those downpours, right? Here we are around 7:30 tomorrow, and again, the rain will linger a little bit longer, and that's just because that area of low pressure is trying to spin on out of here. Let me clear all these arrows off so you can see the change in the winds. Still more of a southerly wind in Lakeland, so that is still true. In Crystal River, it's still an easterly wind, but down by Sarasota, now we have kind of a straight westerly wind. So again, that's pushing all that moisture into our coast. And really the rain will continue until later on in the night, although most of it will be off the coast. And this is important for anybody going to school on Monday, first day of school. I would bring an umbrella just for the morning, and then by the afternoon we will start drying out nicely. All right, so recapping things here on our weather impact alerts. It is for tomorrow, our final day having these weather impact alerts. This would be our third day of them, and the impact is still the same. We have that widespread heavy rain expected, those downpours, which can be slow moving at times, and that can lead to some localized flooding. You could see some flood advisories issued for tomorrow, maybe a flood warning, definitely not out of the question. And that happens when we have so much rain dumped in one area. Sometimes we call them training storms, where we just have one area just getting walloped with the rain again and again and again. What you need to do, you're doing it right now. Stream on 10 Tampa Bay and make sure you have those alerts turned on your phone if you haven't done that already. And you can set up different alerts. If you don't want to be bothered with news stories or, whatever floats your boat, you can just have it just for weather alerts only. So that's something to remember as well. And our app is completely free, so there's no loss in downloading it. Maybe a little bit of data, but that's it. All right, so for tomorrow, again, here's your planner. Starting off the morning, we will be on the drier side. And then as we move into about 10 a.m., that's when we will start to see those skies open up. And in the afternoon, that's really when we're expecting most of the rain. All right, touching on the tropics here for a good 10 minutes. There has been a lot of talk, I'll say, about this wave coming off the coast of Africa. Now, we got the latest update as of 8 p.m. So this is new information. It's only 10 minutes old, this information. So that tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa right now, marked by the X, the orange X, that has a 60% chance of developing within the next week. 10% chance in the next 2 days. So in the next 2 days, doesn't really have high odds of developing. Notice my arrow, my yellow arrow there is a little bit off because in the latest 8 p.m. update, they did change that development area. So those blobs that you see there, those are the areas that, for anybody new here, those are the areas that the National Hurricane is saying, hey, we could have something form where this area is highlighted in the orange and the yellow. Now where the X's are, that's where the area of disturbed weather currently lives. So diving into Cape Verde, the Cabo Verde Islands, they will have a lot of rain for tomorrow, well, they're getting it right now, tomorrow and Monday as well. And that's as that wave tries to organize a little bit further. It has been dubbed as Invest 97L. So breaking down invest means that it's an area under investigation. It's area of interest that the National Hurricane Center has, as well as we do, because it has a potential to form into a tropical system. And that's when you start getting into the numbers of the potential. As far as the AL, that means the Atlantic Basin, right? Because we also have the Pacific that we don't really worry about here closer to home because they have a whole different set of storms. They have a different season. Their season starts a little earlier than ours. But yes, this will be bringing a lot of rain to the Cabo Verde Islands tomorrow, and Monday. And then we are looking for further development as we move throughout the week. Next 2 days, though, there's a lower shot. All right, getting into tropical wave Invest 96L. This one is sloppier, right? Pay attention to where the yellow X is. And then the yellow circle, that blob, that's where we could see something develop, but it has a very low chance. It's been lowered to 20% chance of development in the next week. So it's encountering some drier air right now. Actually, if you look on the satellite here, so there's two different satellites that you see. The one satellite would be all those bright colors. That's where you're looking at those cloud tops. That's where we look for convection to see how strong these storms are. The other layer would be the faint white color that you see there. And notice how there's some brown that's sprinkled in here. That would be Saharan dust. So this is encountering a little bit of Saharan dust, and that's why it's been struggling. It's kind of getting choked out by that Saharan dust, which is drier air, and it lowers its chances for development. All right, bouncing back to 97L now. This is the wave that's off the coast of Africa that everybody's been talking about. Since it's been dubbed Invest, that means that we have early runs of some spaghetti models. So you're only going to see a few models on here because as the days go on, more models kind of join in on the party and they start chiming in on what they think, right? When you see one model run of just the GFS or just the European, you don't really want to go by that, right? You want to look at the ensemble because things can absolutely change. Right now, this system is off the coast of Africa, which is more than 4,000 miles away from Florida, right? So we don't really have to worry about this for a good week. Now, as you look at the spaghetti models, you will notice that they want to take the system out towards the west, towards the Windward Islands. Now, from there, what's it going to do? Until the system gets a center of circulation, it's hard to say what it's going to do. That's why we say those models that you see on social media, you really don't want to go by them because until this thing gets a center of circulation, that really is a determining factor where this wants to go. So until then, you just got to go by the ensemble models because they kind of play out, different ideas. Here's another good example. So this is Invest 96L. This is the one that's living in the central Atlantic right now that's encountering all that Saharan dust. This system has changed quite a bit, right? Or the spaghetti models. So originally it was saying that some of the models, which some still do, bringing it straight towards Bermuda. But most of the models are saying this thing is just going to fizzle out before it even gets to Bermuda, right? So that just shows how the changes can occur as the week goes on because we've been tracking Invest 96L since last weekend, right? And there's still one model that wants to go rogue and bring it out to the windward. So there's always one model that acts a little wiry and crazy. All right, so going into, this is our precipitable water. So this is something else we look at. What you see here, the thicker lines would be the European, that's showing the pressure. And then the thinner lines would be the winds, and that's through the GFS. So you're looking at two different models here. Pay attention to this area in the blue. That would indicate a lot of moisture. Then you have this ring over here, that's the European. And then you have these little winds here, that's the GFS, all right? So if we play this out, I'm gonna clear all this out so I don't confuse anybody. You're looking at two different models. And you can see that they're in a pretty good agreement, kind of aligning with the spaghetti models that we just showed you, that this is going to continue to travel off towards the west, towards the Windward Islands. Well, from there, both models are still agreeing by next Friday that this will curve around that area at high pressure. See it going all the way up here? Now, I will say the GFS has it, this is the GFS with the winds, has it closer to the U.S. coast, away from Florida. And this is the European with the pressure, and it has it more out to sea. So again, until we get that center of circulation, I mean, it is just, anything can go, right? We have a good idea, but there's still a lot of possibilities. And that's why we tell you, don't really look into those single model runs, the ones that look all scary and you see them on social media because things can dramatically change. Again, this is another crazy plot to look at, right? So now you're looking at the Euro, which is highlighted in green, the GFS. Again, they are in a pretty good agreement that this system will travel off to the west towards the Windward Islands as we move into next Thursday, Friday. By the time we enter into next weekend, still in a good agreement, it will be northward of the Windward Islands